In contemporary neuroscience, consciousness is frequently modeled as a byproduct of neural activity, a result of blood oxygen signals pulsing through specialized brain tissue. Over 2,000 years ago, the Abhidhamma tradition proposed an alternative, a non-physicalist map that treats mental and material processes as a bidirectional, co-arising system. This system utilizes a highly structured analytical framework to deconstruct subjective experience into its constituent parts, aiming for a level of precision usually reserved for mathematics. Recent work in neurocognitive science, specifically in large-scale brain network dynamics and predictive processing, is producing empirical data that aligns with these ancient phenomenological observations. By tracking the microanatomy of perception, the mechanics of synaptic conditioning, and the neurobiology of advanced meditation, we can see where these two disparate traditions converge. The Abhidhamma functions as a rigorous, empirically testable software manual for the human brain, offering a granular view of how the mind-body process actually operates. The Citta-Vīthi models perception as 17 discrete mind moments. The first 3 act as a passive resting state, paralleling the default mode network. Moment 4 orients towards a stimulus, like the Salience Network. Moments 5 through 8 register, relay, and categorize the raw sensory data. Throughout these first 8 moments, the process is computationally determined. Choice only enters the cycle during the Jhavana phase, moments 9 through 15, activating the executive control network, the locus of volitional response. This 7-moment window is the only point where the sequence is not purely reactive, providing a narrow neurological opportunity for neuroplastic change before consolidation. We experience consciousness as a continuous stream, but it's actually a segmented cycle of predictive coding. Within this cycle, human agency is restricted to a late-stage window of volitional impulse. To explain how this influences the brain, the Abhidhamma uses the patthana, a network of 24 conditional relations governing mind and matter. One relation, asavana pachaya, characterizes how repeating consecutive mental states strengthens a cognitive trend. This describes the exact mechanism of Hebbian synaptic plasticity. When specific states are repeated, the threshold for those neural assemblies to fire is lowered. Essentially, cells that fire together wire together. Repeating volitional states reinforces specific neural pathways, turning momentary impulses into ingrained habits. Conditions like sahayata and anyamanya describe mutuality, a state where mental intention and brain activity co-emerge and shape each other simultaneously. This bidirectional feedback loop aligns with modern theories of embodied cognition, where the mind is seen as an active participant in the body's physical self-regulation. In this model, mind and matter are not separate entities. They are reciprocal processes that continuously rewrite the structural architecture of the organism in real time. Vipassana meditation translates these theories into a developmental technology. The practice is designed to systematically deconstruct the practitioner's internal self-model. Transitioning into the 5th stage, Bhanganyana, the brain undergoes a phase shift. High-frequency gamma band synchrony makes sensory sampling so efficient that it outpaces the brain's slower baseline object binding frequency. Consequently, the system can no longer construct stable object representations. The practitioner no longer perceives a solid body or a continuous thought. Instead, they register only the rapid vanishing and disintegration of all sensory foundations. As the self-model is dismantled, the amygdala registers a high-priority threat, triggering a biological alarm sequence, manifesting as intense fear, misery, and disenchantment. This crisis isn't a breakdown of the mind, but a predictable response from the brain's threat detection circuitry as its fundamental reality modeling software is deconstructed. To a clinical audience, this raises a critical question. How is this meditative state different from pathological depersonalization or dissociation? Pathological dissociation is an involuntary defense mechanism, typically triggered by trauma. It leads to a fractured ego and a profound loss of personal agency. Advanced Vipassana is a voluntary, highly controlled process. It aims for a systematic decathexis, a peeling away of the mind's habitual projections. Using intense attentional stability, the meditator witnesses this neural dissolution without allowing it to trigger a cascading traumatic response. The key intervention occurs during the jhana phase, as the dissolution is taking place. Instead of reacting with the habitual patterns of aversion or fear, the practitioner utilizes mindfulness to maintain equanimity, effectively rewiring their response to the experience. This process offers clinical psychology a replicable protocol for overriding the high-priority survival circuits that normally drive chronic psychological distress. The endpoint of this deconstruction is Sankarupekya Jnana, equanimity toward all conditioned phenomena. Neurobiologically, this represents a state of high neural metastability. In this state, the brain exhibits a unique physiological profile, high sensory receptivity and robust gamma oscillations, paired with a complete suppression of self-referential rumination in the default mode network. This configuration allows an individual to experience physical pain or existential threats as neutral sensory elements, effectively breaking the cycles of suffering that characterize many psychosomatic disorders. The architectural overlap between these two systems suggests a profound convergence between ancient phenomenological observation and modern empirical data. Methods like fMRI and large-scale network analysis have provided the biological evidence to support a framework that has been in operation for 25 centuries. The Abhidhamma stands as a rigorous, testable contemplative science whose goal remains identical to the frontier of neurotherapeutics: the structural reconfiguration of the networks that drive human psychological distress.